Hey, we are live. Ninth time's the charm. This is the ninth episode where I'm actually working on the wiring. Just goes to show, man. This will be quick, right? Just needs a couple more hours. We just have this thing to do, or that thing to do. And check it out. We're stuck now. Unbelievable. Anyway, where are we at now? Sessions. Where'd we stop last time? Oh, by the way, got your comments loud and clear about the audio being too low, so hopefully that's fixed now. I, had this fancy mic and I thought the audio quality would be better. For some reason I just couldn't figure out how to pump the volume up. Anyway, um, right, so I think what I was trying to do last was um, yeah, include the user inside action with session. And uh yeah, so for this bit, how do I uncomment user and not get a type error? You need to ensure that the context type definition is extended to include the user field. This involves modifying the type of CTX to include user as an optional property of the correct type. All right. Here's how you do it, assuming CTX and the functions can naturally accommodate an additional user type. Okay. I mean, I don't know what you did, but okay. Let's apply it. Yeah, you just uncommented it. That's so stupid. CTX type can include user. What's the type of CTX? Is it because of the name user? Like if I do user A, user, no. Yeah, nope, same, right? So it's got nothing to do. It's not like it's some sort of reserved word or something. Let's see. You can explicitly type the action with session constant without seeing the implementation of custom action related functions. However, a general approach. All right. I'm not exactly sure what you did there, but what's action function? Whatever the correct type is for an action function in your setup. Well, maybe ChatGPT is better at this. Let's try. Circular reference or type annotation issue. Can't infer the type of action with session correctly. Without the exact types used in your project, I'll give a general example of how you might type custom actions subsequently. Okay. I mean, it's returning the CTX and args. I mean, we already know the type of user. Hmm. So that's not helping. You're passing the right types here. So you do know that the user type is available. And then args is empty. So essentially you're going to be returning. So that is in fact the correct type. Huh. Okay, so it's a reference directly or indirectly in its own initializer. Okay, so you need to explicitly type CTX, I guess. That's what's missing here, like an explicit type. Because you're doing this circular thing, this circular reference, the return type is dependent on, oh, I see. It's the return type that's problematic because you have that circular reference. Okay. But you're doing the same thing here though, right? I mean, you're doing it here. You're calling await get user. Why don't you call await get user here? Because you don't have access to CTX-DB. And get user does in fact, oh, query CTX. Interesting. You actually specify the type on get user. Okay. All right. So maybe that's what you need to do. Like you just do action CTX, and then you give this a type of action CTX. And now, still doesn't work? I don't know, man. Like, I don't really understand what's going on here. I suppose what you could do is just assign any here, action with session, and that kind of breaks everything, but whatever. You go to action with session, uh, create category, yeah, action with session, args name, and here it has any type. It kind of messes with like typing wherever you use it, right? Because this function just got messed up. And all this because you want to be able to reference user or include user. Just don't do it. Oh, you still have the any. Yeah, I forgot to remove that. All right. So here you're going to need user, and you're going to do user equals await run query with session ID, which you're going to get from CTX. Right. Okay. So user ID is going to be CTX. It's going to be user dot ID, right? Run query. You're calling run query, passing in um, api.categories.get. And what you need to make sure of is that you're actually getting um, for that particular session ID, right? Um, so this needs to accept a session ID. Maybe like just instead of doing a run query like this, um, do you have run with session? No. Yeah, so I guess you would have to run query and then just pass in the session ID manually, the way we did here. All right, and then you need to make sure this accepts session ID. And then you would do categories, so go back to schema, and you would need to define a schema for categories. Um, and maybe instead of doing it by user ID everywhere, we would just index by, well, I guess you could index by user ID. Yeah, why not? Index by user ID. Just pass, instead of passing session ID, pass user ID. And then make sure you're passing user ID here. Okay. Yeah, so you're not going to do collect. You're going to do the same thing they did here in session. So you're going to do outlays index, and then by user ID. Do you update schema? No, it's already there. Um, okay, yeah. You just need to capitalize the I. Right, okay. Cannot find user ID. Yeah, that's because it'd be inside args. Okay. Cool. All right. So get works, and then you're gonna get a bunch of categories or no, and then if categories. Oh, did you did you do unique at the end? No, that doesn't make sense. Uh, why is this not running? It's calling await query with index.unique, and that's going to return a single user. All right, here we're calling dot query with index by user ID, and then user ID equals, and then the actual user ID here. So we're going to return a bunch. Oh, that's weird. Ah, dot collect. Okay, my bad. Okay, cool. So that's the implementation. Create category. So we come back here and you have on create. You're passing in your session ID. Uh, this is really annoying. Like maybe use session should just return the actual session as session ID instead of declaring it as a string, right? Yeah, I mean it is session ID arg. So why is this giving me an error? Where are you getting session ID from? Use session and session context type. Ah, okay. Yeah, you're specifying it as is. Okay. So this needs to be session ID. Alrighty. So that needs to be not really session ID. I mean, how do you TypeScript array different? I think there's a way to do this. Yeah. Ah, number string. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be uh, session ID and then okay. All right. So now it's okay. Cool, cool. All right. So we actually finished fixing the first call. First call is always the trickiest, right? All right. So you have use query now. We previously used use session. Once more, we're going to be doing session ID, and then here you're going to do use query. We're not going to be using use query, or we are going to be using use query. Ah, use query. You have to specify session ID, right? Oh, user ID? You get categories by user ID, not by session ID. Interesting. Well, you wouldn't need to pass the user ID because we'd automatically pick it up. So you just go to your categories, and then here, when you call get, you don't need the user ID anymore. Wait, didn't I just do that? Right. Well, what would need to happen is instead of defining a query directly, you would use query with session. We agreed we'd be doing that, right? Query with session, and then your args become empty. And when you call query with session, you specify session ID. Oh, it doesn't? Yeah, my bad. Okay, that should do it. And then you come back to page and magically, well, no, not magically, you have to specify session ID. There you go. Now, when you call use query, you need to specify session ID, and that's how you know that it's going to work. Very nice, very nice. All right. Similarly, for bookmarks, you're going to do something just like this. We're going to go to bookmarks, and under get, you're going to see query with session. And you're going to make sure that you're going to collect inside schema. Let's look at bookmarks. Indexed by user ID, very nice. So nice. And then bulk insert, same thing, right? You're no longer going to take user ID, and instead what you're going to say is bookmark. Um, yeah, so it's going to be bookmark, and then you're going to add uh, user ID, and you're going to make sure that you're going to use mutation with session. Oh, but wait a sec. You would want to use, you would want to reference, right? Okay, so mutation with session, sure, but you need to have user ID here. The thing is, like, you're going to insert bookmarks, and the bookmarks, I think that's a flaw of the schema itself. You're not going to be able to know which bookmarks belong to which users if you're just going to bulk insert them. If you wanted to know which bookmarks belonged to which user, where do we populate full text? Let's see. User ID is just the ID. Where is the ID? Where is the ID? The actual user. Okay, so wait a sec. All right, my implementation was correct. Uh, the fix that I made was actually correct. So if you go to bookmarks, and here you can't use user ID. Instead, you need to expand bookmark and then set the user ID based on the context. All right, very nice. Cool. So that takes care of bookmarks get and categories. Is there anything else? I mean, we call use session here. Use mutation. Did you cover all of those cases? Oh, delete category. No, I didn't. Delete category, you make sure that instead of just mutation, you're using mutation with session. And then you're going to delete based on ID and check if the category. Right, okay. Okay, so it actually checks with index. I don't think that's how it works. Yeah, you do it this way. Okay, so delete category now, okay, but obviously that's not going to work without the session ID, so you're going to have to call the session in here. All right, so that's mutation. Query, we have it twice, and then action, we have create category. And then on create, we pass in session ID. So this page is actually done. This page is actually done. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Um, so I can see like bulk insert not using the correct. Uh, yeah. So just for context, what we're actually doing at the moment is this part here. We've already done this. We're replacing mutations, query actions with session mutation, session query, and session actions. So actions with session. And then we just need to make sure at the very end that we redirect to login if somebody tries to access the main page without having, connected previously. All right, cool, cool. Very nice. So we're almost done here. I have a sneaking suspicion that my screen was frozen this entire time. Oh, dear God. I just had a frozen screen the whole time. Oh, I'm so sorry. What a horrible, what a horrible, horrible stream. But yeah, this would be. All right, so let's fix these up. Set bookmarks. Um, what? Not this again. Oh, we fixed that a long time ago. I just create all, remove all these. Maybe it's useful to just close that whole thing. All right, so convex slash categories. Let's see what's going on there. So line 78. You're calling bookmarks get without passing in presumably the user ID, right? Well, the session ID, and then it takes care of fetching the. Yeah. Okay, that should fix it. Okay, that fixed it. Cool. So let's see if we're done here. We have set bookmarks. Let's see if we use that anywhere. So assign tweets. Okay, assign tweets. Right now, it's basically an API request that needs to be done manually. I think what would have to happen is we would need to switch it to some sort of uh, what is it going to be? Um, so post login after you sign in or after you complete payment. I actually didn't mention Stripe at all, but we're going to need a Stripe integration into this baby just so that we can, set things up properly. But I mean, this is really just a temporary affair, the thing we're doing here. Anyway, I'm going to update this mutation with session and then just do a search. So patch based on ID. Make sure the category exists, right? All right. You can do filter. So categories don't have their own IDs? Apparently not. You just do it by like the actual ID. Okay. Okay. I think it's the same for this. It didn't occur to me to check that here as well. So it's basically exactly the same. You're just doing a context. suppose bulk insert would be the same as well. You're going to get a bunch of categories, and each category is going to have user ID, name, and bookmarks, but we're not going to accept user ID anymore. Mutation with second. Nice. So I think we're done with categories now. We can take a look at bookmarks. That's already done. And that just leaves users. If you have mutation with session, you can actually get the user, but I think the reason you didn't use mutation with session was because this user doesn't exist. Right, okay, so you need a mutation without session. You don't use. Okay, cool. All right, I think we're almost done, but I really need to take a break now. So I'm gonna wrap up here, and then we'll continue uh, in what's hopefully going to be one last episode. Bye for now.